Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of Codebreakers Episode 11. Now, if you remember from last episode, we are taken back to a flashback about Hitomi, also how he ended up joining Eden in general, how he became Codebreaker number 6, all the way to Codebreaker number 1. Now, the end result being how he actually left working as a codebreaker, working for Eden in general. Now, apparently he tried to assassinate the Prime Minister for the first time and failed, and that's how he got his title as codebreaker number 1 taken away, and how now Eden is out to get him. But again, that's where we're at there. Moving on past that toward the end of the episode, we find out where Hitomi is at now. Apparently he's at the Sky Tower. He's got Sakura, she's still a hostage, and we find out apparently the Prime Minister is going to be executed in 60 minutes. I was kind of, I don't know, a little WTF. I'm like, why are you going to wait 60 minutes to kill the Prime Minister? Are you waiting for someone? I'm just a little confused. Why not just kill him then and there and have your problem solved? Unless you're trying to make a statement. Now, moving on past that, we do find out Hitomi has set a lot of different bombs throughout the whole countryside, and they'll also go off within that 60 minutes. Supposedly, he wants to take out 50,000 citizens next to the Prime Minister. Just thought I'd mention that. And again, that's where the episode ends. And I'll hold my final thoughts and my rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right in. Now, we open up this episode almost exactly where we left off, except the clock isn't at 60 minutes. In fact, we're at 45 minutes at least one of the clocks. And we find out there's a bomb going off in the background, so another building's being exploded. I just thought I'd point that out. So we see another explosion out of nowhere. And I'm guessing since we had 60 minutes to start, we're going to see multiple buildings being destroyed instead of them being destroyed all at once. Just thought I'd mention that. Now, again, moving on past that, we see Ogami, and it looks like he's staring at the Sky Tower, or at least one of these skyscrapers that apparently Sakura and obviously Hitomi are going to be at, as well as the Prime Minister. So at least he's looking in the right direction. But again, that's where we open up the scene at. Moving on past that. Now, we are introduced to Yuki in general, Toki, and Miss Konda. Now, they're getting no new information from Eden, so Eden has no idea what's going on. They're left in the dark, and they're not helping at all, plain and simple. Moving on past that, we see Yuki, and he uses his sound waves to actually find all the bombs throughout the country. And we find out, throughout Japan, he says there's a crap load of bombs everywhere. I couldn't believe all these little red dots on the map we got to see. I'm like, all I can say is Hitomi had this plan well thought out when he made it. Now, moving on past that, we're taken to Mei Asami and Hitomi, and we actually get a little more information. Apparently, there are 1,500 bombs throughout Japan. Yeah, not a dozen, not, like 20, 30 bombs, 1,500. I was like, wow, 1,500 bombs. Yeah, that's a lot of bombs. Moving on past that, they also point out that it's going to be impossible for anyone to dispose of all these bombs in 1 hour. To be honest, I've got to agree with them. I think it's impossible too. Unless, of course, they made a little safety switch to shut them all off at once, which they probably did. It's a failsafe, They probably did. But moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Sakura's dad. Now, I find this kind of interesting. They now have the GPS location where Sakura's at, and they got a text with the location of all the bombs. And we don't know who's texting them. Who the heck is texting them? We don't know. And it kind of pisses me off, but sorry, I digress. Moving on. Now, we do find out Toki, Yuki, as well as Miss Konda also get the same exact text on where all these bombs are, as well as Hitomi's location and Sakura's location where they're at now. But again, we don't know who's been texting them. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Yuki. Now, Yuki definitely steps up, and this is why I love his character. He steps up, and he says he's going to take out as many bombs as he can by himself, but he wants Miss Konda as well as Toki to head for the Sky Tower, to go save the Prime Minister and Sakura. So they got a plan set in motion. So at least they're thinking, at least they have something, right? They've got something. So again, we do see Yuki. He's going to try to defuse as many bombs as he can, so he can save at least some people, while Miss Konda and of course Toki go save the Prime Minister. But we are taken to a different scene with Mei Asami, and I find this kind of interesting. He's checking out the radar, like a screen where all the bombs are at. We see what looks like a little triangle, and I guess that's someone within the Codebreaker Society, and he's tracking them, but we don't know who the identity of these people are, just that we see Mei Asami staring at a screen, that's a radar, and I don't know if he's supposed to be doing this or not, but we see Hitomi sneak up on Mei Asami, like either to scare him or to check up on him, but he gives him a pat on the back. It's like, you're doing a great job, thanks for watching the defenses. I have a feeling that Mei Asami was doing something else, because he was kind of stunned and shocked with when Hitomi actually showed up, so that has me wondering on what side Mei Asami's really on. But that's just me. And of course, moving on past that, we do see Ogami actually appear within the Sky Tower, so he's there now. Now moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Hitomi versus Ogami. This is the build-up, this is what we were waiting for, and I can't believe we get to see it finally. Now again, we do see Ogami with a sword. He's got a sword on his back, which he takes out to use, and if you remember correctly, that's Sakura's father's sword that he let him borrow. So Ogami's using a sword that's not his. He pulls it out and he's ready to attack Hitomi. Now we do see Hitomi attack Ogami, but what's interesting is Ogami had a plan. In fact, Ogami absorbs Hitomi's electric attack through his sword. I thought this was definitely interesting, and it gets better. Apparently Ogami is using the flames that he produces as a conductor to ground out where the electricity is going to go into the floor. So he's definitely had a plan. He was thinking, he is on his toes. But of course Hitomi could care less and he's not amused, so he keeps attacking himself. In fact, he tries to screw over Ogami by using a special attack with all of his electrical attacks going everywhere at random, so Ogami can't ground them out fast enough, so he's actually being hit by all these electrical attacks. Now, while they're fighting, I should point this out, we do see more bombs going off in the background and random buildings being exploded. Yeah, we see random explosions. So nothing's really changed in my opinion. But moving on past that, we do see Sakura. She's still struggling to get these ropes off of her because she's still tied up, and she's right next to her dog, which is also sadly tied up. And again, Sakura is being forced to watch Ogami fight Hitomi against her will. So that's definitely nothing special in my opinion. But we do find out her dog has finally broken loose of the rope, but has gone downstairs because I guess the fight was too much for the dog. So the dog is no longer with Sakura. It's now down below at the next floor. Now we are taken to a different scene with Hitomi. While he's fighting Ogami, he manages to talk with Sakura as well as Ogami in general on what really happened in last episode. It gets better. So much better. This clarifies everything. This is the truth on what happened in last episode. Now we find out he didn't try to assassinate the Prime Minister for the first time. In fact, all Hitomi wanted to do was talk to the Prime Minister about, I guess in general, to let all the codebreakers go and to accept them into society in general, to reveal themselves. And at the same time, tell Eden to let all these kids go that have special abilities that are being held captive by the government. Because we do see all these experiments being done on all these little kids. And again, we do see Hitomi pleading with the Prime Minister, well, basically to let them go, let them go, set them free, that type of stuff. But, the Prime Minister doesn't want to hear him out, and I was like, why? And then we see the Prime Minister have all of his bodyguards surround Hitomi and stop him from really doing anything. And that's where it looks like they're setting Hitomi up. So he didn't even try to assassinate the Prime Minister, but he had to take out some of the bodyguards to escape. So he had to kill a few of the bodyguards to actually escape. So it kind of makes sense. So this has you wondering, is Eden really a good organization? Right now, it's not looking good. But you know what? They made a monster out of Hitomi. But that still doesn't justify what Hitomi is doing right now by killing all these helpless citizens. I mean, really? How does that justify what happened to you? It doesn't. Now it's all about revenge. That's all I can say. Moving on to the next scene. Now we are taken to Yuki. Now Yuki, he gets a random call from someone and we don't know who. So Yuki, he's taking out all these bombs. He's trying to defuse them. And he gets a text, or, well, in this case, someone actually calls him, but we don't know the identity of this caller and what they're actually talking about. But we are to the next scene. We're moving on to the next scene. Now, we do see Miss Konda and Toki. They're now at Sky Tower, and they run into Mei Asami. That's right, Mei Asami is there. Now, Miss Konda is pushed to the side. She's not going to fight. Plain and simple. Now, we do see Toki versus Mei Asami. Now, it gets better. In my opinion, this was a funny part, because I didn't think Toki would ever say this. He starts talking to Mei Asami and saying, I can't wait to battle you because you know what? If I take you out, Mei Asami, I become Codebreaker number 2. I was like, what? So the buildup was, I thought Toki had discovered something about Mei Asami. That was the buildup. No! In fact, he just wanted to tell Mei Asami, if I kill you, if I take you out, I get your rank. Now, I don't know if he was mocking him or making fun out of him, but that was probably the case, but it was still a funny scene. Now, moving on past that, obviously we see Mei Asami versus Toki, and it's an amazing battle in my opinion. The fight was well worth watching to an extent, but we do see Mei Asami use straight flush. I love seeing that technique, but his next technique was even more amazing. It's called Power Up, and we see copies of him. He uses his light to make copies of himself. And it was amazing. He's not even fighting Toki directly. His copies are. This is something straight out of Naruto Shippuden. I'm just putting that out there. It's like a shadow clone. I'm being honest. Yeah, I went there. But it was an amazing technique. Moving on to the next scene. Now, I just wanted to put this out there because it was kind of interesting, and I was interested to see where it was really going, even though it didn't really go anywhere. We see the Mafia, which works for Sakura's father, since he's, I guess, a Yakuza lord or something like that. The Mafia is trying to defuse all the bombs, which they have the locations for, and we see the police helping them. So you see the Mafia and the police working together in unison to deactivate all these bombs. So that was kind of interesting, and I guess these police are the good police because they're not working with Eden, in my opinion. That's how I see it. Now moving on to the next scene, again we are taking back to Toki versus Mei Asami, and again it's an amazing fight, but we keep seeing Toki retreat because Mei Asami is too much for him. There's too many copies, like a dozen of them or so. I thought I only saw 4 or 5, but there might be more than that. But Toki just can't keep up with this, so he's retreating one after the next, but he does stand his ground at some point in time. Now while this is going on, we do see Sakura's dog make his way downstairs and jump all over the actual Mei Asami. Now we really don't get to see where that goes other than Mei Asami has now been attacked by Sakura's dog. Now we are taken to the last scene of the episode. We're introduced to Yukihina. Finally, we get to see Yukihina. I was wondering where this character was throughout this episode. Now we see Yukihina, and who's in front of Yukihina? Rohi. Rohi is alive. That means Mei Asami did not kill Rohi. Just thought I'd put that out there. And the last words we hear from Rohi before the episode ends, "Hell sent me back." Amazing words, that's all I can say. And again, that's where the episode ends. As per final thoughts, my final thoughts, where am I at right now? Where am I at? Simple. Mei Asami, what side are you really on? I mean, you didn't kill Rohi, so does that mean Rohi was the one actually texting and calling people? We don't know. Or was it Mei Asami? Was Mei Asami texting and calling people? I'm sorry, I think Mei Asami's actually playing 2 cards here. I think Mei Asami's actually still on the good side. Maybe Mei Asami's still a codebreaker, a real codebreaker. He just had to get himself built into Hitomi's organization to be able to give all this information out. I'm just putting that out there. That's one possible scenario, in my opinion. Moving on past that, Hitomi. You were actually made into a villain by Eden. That's ironic. I mean, you didn't have to go so far as revenge, but it makes sense why. Because Eden has set you up to be the rogue villain right now. Even though we know you're not, but right now you're building yourself to be one. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the next episode, and are you really going to keep pushing yourself to this extreme? Or maybe you're just stalling for time. I think you might be stalling for time, but that might just be me. And again, that ends it for my final thoughts. Moving on to my rating. Okay, well, for my rating, I have to give this a 4 out of 5, but let me explain why. Why am I giving this a 4 out of 5? Was there emotion throughout this episode? Drama? Not so much. Was there fighting? Oh, you bet your sweet ass there was fighting. Not a lot spread out, but enough to keep you interested and motivated at the same time. Now, was there a lot of information being thrown at us? Not so much. Yes, we got to know more about Hitomi and the truth, but we still don't know the identity of who's calling everyone, who's sending all these texts, so information is kind of iffy, but it was still there regardless, so I'm glad we had some information. But again, my final rating, 4 out of 5. But again, that ends it for my walkthrough review of Codebreakers episode 11. Definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe and check me out on Twitter and follow me if you like. But definitely let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode coming out. But again guys, that ends it for now, and I gotta go. And before I go, I gotta say it, and I always say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.